Bobby Darin, a name synonymous with the golden age of music, was more than just a crooner with a golden voice. He was a man with an extraordinary drive and ambition, someone who, from an early age, understood that his time on earth might be short. But what many don't realize is how his untimely death at just 37 years old started with something as simple as a trip to the dentist. Let's take a moment to explore this tragic chapter in Bobby Darin's life, a chapter filled with pain, uncertainty, and a devastating end that shocked the world, the rise of a legend. Before we dive into the events leading to his passing, it's important to understand the magnitude of Bobby Darin's talent. Born in 1936 as Walden Robert Casado, Darin grew up in the Bronx, New York, in poverty. But from a young age, he showed incredible musical talent and determination, driven by the knowledge that he was living on borrowed time. You see, Darin had been diagnosed with rheumatic fever as a child, which caused long-term damage to his heart. Doctors told him he wouldn't live past his teens, yet, Bobby refused to be defined by his condition. Instead, he made a promise to himself: he would make every second count. By his early 20s, Darin had already skyrocketed to fame with hits like Splish Splash and Dream Lover. He became one of the most versatile entertainers of his time, dominating not only pop music but also jazz, folk, and film. His ability to shift genres with ease and command the stage made him a force to be reckoned with, but behind all the success was a man battling health issues in silence. The dentist visit, the beginning of the end. In December 1973, Bobby Darin made what seemed to be a routine visit to the dentist. By this time, his health had already been a concern for years. His heart condition, which had plagued him since childhood, had worsened as he aged. But no one could have predicted that this dental appointment would set off a chain of events leading to his untimely death. Bobby needed a tooth extraction, a relatively standard procedure for most people. However, given Darin's fragile health, any medical procedure came with elevated risks. Dental work, especially extractions, can sometimes lead to infections or complications, particularly for those with heart conditions. After the tooth was removed, Darin developed sepsis, a severe and life-threatening infection that spread through his bloodstream. It's a chilling reminder of how something as seemingly simple as dental work can have catastrophic consequences for someone with an already weakened immune system and heart. A series of desperate phone calls and surgeries. In the days following the extraction, Bobby began experiencing severe complications. His health quickly deteriorated, and what started as an infection spiraled into a life-or-death situation. His doctors were scrambling, making phone calls, consulting specialists, and trying to determine the best course of action to save his life. Time was running out. Bobby was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, where doctors determined that he needed open-heart surgery, again. This wasn't the first time Darin had undergone such a procedure. In 1971, he had already undergone heart surgery to replace one of his damaged valves. But now, just 2 years later, his heart was once again in jeopardy. His doctors knew this was a risky operation. Bobby's heart had endured years of strain from his childhood illness, and another surgery would push his body to the limit. But there was no other option. Without the surgery, Bobby would likely not survive. The final days, a battle lost. On December 19, 1973, Bobby Darin was wheeled into the operating room. His family, friends, and fans waited anxiously, hoping for a miracle. Darin himself had faced death so many times in his life that it was almost as if he had accepted his fate. Yet, he remained hopeful, as he had throughout his career, that he would pull through. But this time, his body had endured too much. During the surgery, Bobby's weakened heart stopped, and despite the best efforts of the surgeons, they could not revive him. On December 20, 1973, Bobby Darin passed away at just 37 years old. The world was stunned. One of the brightest stars in the music and entertainment industry was gone, taken by a combination of health complications that began with a simple trip to the dentist. It seemed almost unbelievable that a man with such incredible talent and resilience, who had beaten the odds for so long, could be taken so suddenly. The aftermath, a legacy cut short. Bobby Darin's death marked the end of an era. He had achieved so much in his short life: Grammy Awards, Oscar nominations, sold-out performances around the world, and yet, there was still so much left unfulfilled. His dream of becoming a senator, his continued passion for acting and music, all of it was cut short by his frail health and the tragedy that unfolded after that dental visit. But while his life ended in heartbreak, Bobby Darin's legacy has continued to inspire generations of musicians and fans. His story is one of determination, talent, and the relentless pursuit of excellence despite knowing that time was never on his side. Even though Bobby Darin died far too young, his music continues to live on. Songs like Mac the Knife and Beyond the Sea remain timeless classics, echoing his versatility, his charm, and his unmatched talent. But more than that, his life serves as a reminder of how fragile we all are, how even the smallest things, like a trip to the dentist, can change everything in an instant. Looking back on Bobby Darin's life, you realize how much he accomplished in such a short period of time. It's as if he knew that his time was limited and lived every moment with an urgency and intensity that few others possess. He was always pushing forward, always striving to reach new heights, whether it was in his music, his film career, or even his political ambitions. In the last years of his life, Darin became increasingly focused on political activism, particularly on issues surrounding racial equality and poverty. He saw music as a platform, not just for entertainment, but for change. His song, Simple Song of Freedom, became an anthem for the anti-war movement in the late 1960s. And Darin himself became a passionate advocate for social justice, but even as he pushed forward with his activism and music, his health was deteriorating. His body had been weakened not only by his childhood illness but by the stress of maintaining a relentless work schedule. He never let on how much pain he was in or how much he was struggling. He was always focused on what came next, always trying to move forward. An enduring legacy, Bobby Darin's influence continues to ripple through the music world. His ability to switch between genres, his incredible vocal range, and his natural charisma on stage set him apart from his peers. Many artists who came after him have cited Darin as an influence, including Paul Anka, Michael Bublé, and even modern pop icons like Bruno Mars. He was one of the first true crossover artists, a musician who could appeal to fans of pop, jazz, rock, and folk with equal ease, but his legacy goes beyond the music. Bobby Darin's life is a testament to perseverance in the face of adversity. Here was a man who, from the time he was a child, knew he might not have the chance to grow old. And instead of letting that define him, he used it as motivation to live as fully and as boldly as he could. In a way, Bobby Darin's life is an inspiring lesson for all of us. It's a reminder that we don't know how much time we have, and that the best way to honor that uncertainty is by living as boldly and authentically as possible. Darin didn't waste time. He didn't hold back. He poured everything he had into his music, his relationships, and his dreams. Final thoughts: Bobby Darin's story, especially the tragic circumstances of his death, serves as both a cautionary tale and an inspiring narrative about living life to the fullest. He showed us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, even with a body that was constantly working against him, you can still create something extraordinary. His life may have been cut short, but in those 37 years, Bobby Darin left behind a legacy that will continue to inspire generations to come. The world lost Bobby Darin far too soon, but we're fortunate to have the music, the performances, and the memories that he gave us. His life, while filled with hardship, was also one of immense joy, creativity, and passion. We may never know what else he could have accomplished had he lived longer, but what he left behind is more than enough to ensure that Bobby Darin's name will never be forgotten. As you reflect on his life, think about what it means to truly live without holding back. Bobby did just that. He made every day count, and in doing so, he left an indelible mark on the world. His story isn't just about the music, it's about the power of perseverance, the importance of living with passion, and the incredible things we can achieve when we refuse to let life's obstacles stop us. Thank you for taking the time to remember Bobby Darin with me today. If this story moved you, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing for more explorations into the lives of music legends. Until next time, let's keep Bobby's spirit alive through his incredible music and the lasting legacy of his life.